Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. Very heavy rainfall forecast tomorrow across Tamil Nadu and Puducherry after rain devastation over the weekend. The impact expected is rise in river waters and uprooted trees. Boats already deployed in Chennai for rescue operations after the 2015 floods. This is the heaviest rain spell in Chennai. Agra is the most polluted city in India today. The 7 most polluted cities are in UP, 3 in Haryana. Delhi has very poor air, that's better than severe but still very bad quality, and toxic foam on the river Yamuna as well. India's biggest ever IPO, Paytm, debuts today. From skipping meals to an 18,300 crore IPO in a decade, Vijay Shekhar Sharma now dancing all the way to the bank. Fake invoices, kickbacks between 2007 to 2012. A French media portal reveals new damaging details on the Rainfall deal. The French website says the CBI ignored complaints of fake invoices in 2018. Security increased at Mukesh Ambani's house in Mumbai. A taxi driver calls the police over a suspicious passenger with a bag, claiming the passenger asked to go to Antillia. 24 years later, the builders, the Ansals brothers, are in jail again, this time 7 years for evidence tampering in the Opar fire tragedy. And late BJP stalwarts honoured at the Padma Awards today. Arun Jaitley, Sushma Swaraj, George Fernandes, Manohar Parrikar get the Padma Vibhushan and the Padma Bhushan. Anand Mahindra, PV Sindhu, Karan Johar, Adnan Sami also among today's Padma Award recipients. Our lead story tonight: after rainfall devastation over the weekend, there's more bad news as there is an extremely heavy rainfall warning in all the districts of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry for tomorrow and up till the 11th of November. Boats are now being deployed for rescue operations. The Prime Minister has spoken to the Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, assuring him of all support. Schools and colleges are shut across the state. Even in neighbouring Kerala, the Weather Department has issued yellow alerts for several districts. Here's the latest report. As we can see, this is the heaviest rain since the 2015 floods in Chennai. Though the water logging isn't as bad, we can see what the impact is across the city and the state.
Chennai streets turned into canals, even in the Chief Minister's constituency. The Thompsons had to shift their elderly uncle on the ground floor. Residents say authorities have learnt no lessons since the devastating 2015 flood.
In 2015, it was a very big flood, and the government should have improved in due time. It is almost 6 years. They should have improved the infrastructure.
The 21 centimeter rain the city received is 4 centimeters less than the horrendous flood of 2015. But authorities say lessons learned from then have saved Chennai now and helped waters recede quickly. Stormwater drains desilted 3 months early. Trees pruned. A 5,000 crore project has connected many extension areas to the drains network. As a result, Chennai's 300 chronic inundation hotspots are down to just 60 now.
Water has surrounded their houses.
The discharge from the biggest lake, Chembarambakam, is gradual now, unlike the sudden excessive release 5 years ago.
The change is that the speed with which water has receded because of the break in the rain in the night has enabled the water to recede quickly. So the challenge before us is to ensure that in the aftermath of the rains, the water level reduces.
For the common man though, the nightmare continues.
Authorities say, but for their preparedness, Chennai would have seen a repeat of the devastation by 2015 floods that flooded more than 4 lakh homes. Well, that's a huge relief so far. With Met forecasting heavy rains, the next few days will be an acid test for lessons learned. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel for NDTV.
Well, let's go across live to Sam now, who is currently still on flooded roads in Chennai and likely to get worse over the next 2 days, Sam.
That's the worry, Sonia, that there could be very heavy rainfall over the next 3 days. And we come to you from the GN Shetty Road in the commercial hub of T Nagar in Chennai. And this is what you see, at least ankle deep to knee deep waters on the entire stretch, causing so much of hardship to local residents and commuters. With me, Vidya Lakshmi and Srinivas, thank you very much for your time. You've seen the 2015 floods. Have lessons been learnt in your view?
No, lessons not learnt at all. Every year, we get monsoons every year. Monsoons are a beautiful part of nature. But what we see here today is completely man-made. We have not learnt our lessons. We have to work together with the authorities and, learn it at least this time.
Man-made, largely responsible because these areas were once water bodies, now concrete jungle.
Absolutely. It's almost entirely man-made, be it the government and the corporation allowing violation of all regulations. Water bodies and lakes have all gone with concrete structures. And we as people, because we are also not following our duties, throwing the wrong kind of waste and clogging up the canals. So it's a combined responsibility. Unfortunately, it's the citizens who pay the price. And it's not as if we have had some dramatically heavy rain, but just one spell of rain, and if it gets worse, things could be even...
There could be heavy rainfall tomorrow. What runs in your mind?
What runs is, I have my parents staying in West Mambalam in the ground floor. My worry is, if water goes inside, what would they do? We have senior citizens in our apartment who live on oxygen. If the current goes, what would we do? I hope the authorities, take measures before the monsoons. Every year this happens, so before the monsoons, they should take measures, precaution measures,
Thank you so much. And this could be the first major challenge next to COVID for the new government, Sonia. But authorities argue that they've done their best. They cleaned up all the stormwater drains. But this condition is only because of the very heavy rainfall, which could not be taken at the same time by these drains. They say once the rain stops, it will clear in no time. But a night of trauma and anxiety for lots of public and also officials.
Right, Sam, really, as we see the capital of Tamil Nadu there, Chennai, you said the business district, and look at the situation there. And you're battling a heavy rainfall in the south, and look at what's happening in the north. The top 10 most polluted cities in India, and of course, that means that they're amongst the top 10 in the world as well. Look at Agra at 487, severe, followed by the holy city of Vrindavan. Then also we have Balabgarh in Haryana. The mix of the top 10 is between UP and Haryana. Ghaziabad, 442, severe. Bagpat in UP also very high. Noida again bordering Delhi, in Uttar Pradesh, Hapur, Meerut, all of them in the severe category. Bhiwadi in Rajasthan also amongst the thing, and Panipat, Haryana, 398, very poor, and Delhi also in the very poor category. Now, what does this actually mean? Just let's look what it means for our health. So we know air quality of 201 to 300 is poor, breathing discomfort to most people. 301 to 400 is very poor. That's where Delhi is. That is respiratory illness and prolonged exposure. So look at the people who have to work outside. And severe, the top 10 cities are amongst the severe. This affects even healthy people and seriously impacts those with existing diseases. That's where India's cities are currently in the north.
Not just air pollution, now water pollution has visibly worsened in the capital. But the toxic foam has indebted Chhath puja devotees.
हानिकारक है?
नहीं, डर लगता है।
अच्छा, क्योंकि
हम लोग गंगा मानते हैं।
अच्छा।
नहीं, हम लोग के नहीं होता, भगवान के नाम से नहीं होता।
The air pollution remains bad, even though the AQI levels have dipped slightly from the 400 severe mark to under 400, still in the very poor category.
साथ में जो स्मॉग बढ़ता है फेस्टिवल्स की वजह से आंखों पे सबसे ज्यादा इफेक्ट पड़ता है, ऊपर से ब्रीथ में काफी सबसे प्रॉब्लम होती है। हम दूर से आते हैं, ऊपर से चलना भी पड़ता है काफी, बस स्टैंड से लेके स्कूल तक जाना पड़ता है।
These fires in Punjab and Haryana are contributing roughly a third of the main air pollutant PM 2.5. But year after year, governments of all parties at the centre and state have failed to stop them.
Air pollution every year kills more people than corona does.
However, the political blame game over air and water pollution continues.
पंजाब से सबसे ज्यादा पराली जलने घटनाएं आ रही हैं, उसके बाद हरियाणा और उत्तर प्रदेश। जमुना में जो पानी आता है वो दिल्ली से नहीं आता, हरियाणा से आता है। हरियाणा से जहरीला पानी छोड़ा गया, जहां भाजपा की सरकार है।
पहली बार जब बने थे अरविंद केजरीवाल तभी बोला है और लगभग हर चैनल को बोला है कि हम अभी अभी आए हैं लेकिन 5 साल दीजिए, जमुना में हम सबके साथ खुद डुबकी लगाएंगे। आइए डुबकी लगाइए ना अरविंद केजरीवाल।
First air, now water pollution has plagued the national capital. Authorities must put in place a stern action plan before another health emergency is announced. With Mohammad Mursalin in Delhi, Shunakshi Chakrabarti, NDTV.
And our cities need to be livable before we look at other factors which come out to define development. But moving to other news, India's biggest ever IPO, Paytm, debuts today. From skipping meals to save cash to an 18,300 crore IPO in just over a decade, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, the founder and CEO, is now dancing all the way.
मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है, पेटीएम कर दो। पैसा नहीं है तो पेटीएम कर दो।
This tagline remains a popular catchphrase. It symbolizes the rapid growth of Paytm, led by founder and CEO Vijay Shekhar Sharma in just over a decade. From the time when he says he skipped meals to save money to leading India's biggest IPO so far, 18,300 crore rupees, which opened today. Coming from a humble background in Aligarh, Vijay taught himself English with the help of rock songs and also learnt coding while building a digital payment network which today has 337 million users.
I come from a family where nobody has been in business. I was the black sheep identified, and at some point in time when I remember that my mother thought that because I couldn't get a job, that is why I'm trying to try a company there. And when I got married, which is a family arranged marriage, so my wife didn't even know that I'm a quote-unquote businessman. They thought that I work for a company.
Prayers and celebrations underway at Paytm as a fresh journey towards the stock market begins. Some of the world's richest individuals and firms have already invested and are encashing on this now. While day one subscription levels for the IPO closed at 0.18 times, the company itself paints a bleak picture for profit.
Our June financials, where we grew about 62% year on year in terms of revenue, and we are generating a significant amount of what we call contribution profit. And this year, just in the one quarter, just in the June quarter, we generated 245 crores of contribution profit.
Firstly, we don't know as to when they will show profits. Even the management is not too sure. With technology changing so fast, there can be a possibility of a disruptor in this space, which could actually derail their prospects.
Even as financial concerns remain, the remarkable growth picture for Paytm reflects an exciting time for India's digital payment services sector. Sakshi Bajaj for NDTV.
Let them keep trying. And you?
Paytm karo.
Part of that streak of IPOs we've seen in the last few months. Meanwhile, the Sensex Nifty is up for the second straight session on Monday, led by gains of HDFC, Infosys, Kotak and other financial stocks. The Sensex ending 478 points higher. The Nifty also advancing 152 points, closing at 18,069. Well, new revelations coming out of the French online website Mediapart, which has two major accusations. One, that fake invoices were used to pay kickbacks to a middleman. Now, bulk of these kickbacks, these documents say, were paid in the UPA years, but the complaint was given to the CBI in 2018. So, Vishnu, neither governments in a sense have any reason to celebrate these damaging revelations.
No celebration. 2018, the complaints were given, nothing was done, but the complaints, as you mentioned, do pertain to an earlier period. So the French plane maker Dassault has allegedly paid at least 7.5 million euros in bribes to a middleman to help secure the sale of 36 Rafale jets to India, and Indian agencies allegedly failed to investigate it despite the presence of documents. Now, that's what the French portal Mediapart has alleged in their new report. The report says the bulk of the alleged payments were made before 2013, but evidence of corruption was reportedly highlighted to investigators in 2018, and as per the report, nothing took place. Now, we cannot independently verify the authenticity of the documents showcased by Mediapart, and we have reached out to the CBI for comment, nothing so far. Mediapart says the documents are false invoices that enable Dassault to pay secret commissions to an alleged middleman, Sushen Gupta. Mediapart's investigation on Rafale papers has in fact triggered a judicial investigation in France earlier in July into allegations of corruption, influence peddling, also favoritism. Now there's a political battle here. The Congress says Rahul Gandhi has been right all along about the Rafale scam. The BJP for its part says the UPA was collecting kickbacks but couldn't close the deal. The NDA later scrapped it and got into a contract with the French government, which upset Rahul Gandhi no end. So the political back and forth on Rafale continues.
Right, but of course a larger question of why both those invoices were ignored, especially when they showed evidence of alleged kickbacks in between 2007 to 2013. Thanks very much for that, Vishnu. Let's go across the other breaking story coming out of Mumbai, and that's from, Asia's richest man, Mukesh Ambani's residence, the Intilia, after a taxi driver phoned the Mumbai police. Saurabh is there right now. Saurabh, what are the details you have?
Well, this all started from a phone call to the police control room from a taxi driver who believed that he saw suspicious people asking for directions to Mukesh Ambani's residence, Antilia, which is where I am at this point. Now, following that, the Mumbai police, taking no chances, beefed up security and they've deployed extra personnel. But what you see here in these pictures is the regular security that is there outside Antilia, the home of Mukesh Ambani. Of course, there's more to this security than what you see here. But there are commandos, there are canine squads, and of course, there is a whole lot of other security paraphernalia that exists here. But the police taking no chances, they're still interrogating the taxi driver to glean more details from him to see whether there is any credible threat or information that they need to process. At this point, that investigation is still on. Meanwhile, security beefed up, and we're also given to understand that the Ambani family is not here in Mumbai at this point. But there is, of course, no chance to be taken with the security of this residence, which is one of the most recognized and most protected residences in Mumbai.
Right, and of course that recent controversy as well about the whole conspiracy hatched apparently to get a policeman promotion, so no chances as you said. But in other news, well, businessmen and real estate builders Sushil Ansal and Gopal Ansal have been sentenced to 7 years in jail for tampering with evidence linked to a fire in Delhi's Opar Theatre in 1997. That's over 20 years ago. That killed 59 people, including many children. The Ansal brothers have also been fined 2.25 crores each by Delhi's Patiala House Court. So a verdict that's come there after over 20 years, and they've been sent to 7 years of jail. And as we end the bulletin tonight, let's look at India's latest Padma awardees. A series of late BJP stalwarts from Arun Jaitley to Sushma Swaraj and also ally George Fernandes were awarded the Padma Vibhushan, that's the highest Padma honour, posthumously. The awards were received by their families. Also among the Padma awardees today were Anand Mahendra and PV Sindhu, who got the Padma Bhushan. Many stars and actors, and also those from extremely humble backgrounds who had contributed to the nation.
श्रीमती सुषमा स्वराज मरणोपरांत लोक कार्य, श्री अरुण जेटली मरणोपरांत लोक कार्य, श्री जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस मरणोपरांत लोक कार्य, श्री करण जौहर कला सिनेमा, श्री अदनान सामी खान कला गायन, श्री आनंद गोपाल महिंद्रा व्यापार एवं उद्योग, कुमारी पीवी सिंधु खेल बैडमिंटन, सुश्री रानी खेल हॉकी,